DevITDown guys, welcome to another video. Again, thank you guys for all the support. People are people are messaging me, telling me that they're making progress, and that's a good thing. Guys, I do want to say, if you've got questions that are related to the stuff we do in the video, then rather ask in the comments than asking me. I know maybe you guys are shy, but there is no such thing as a dumb question. If you're thinking it, probably a lot of people are thinking it. So if the question is related to the content we do in the video, then ask it in the comments. But if you've gone ahead and you're asking something else, maybe you're preparing for something that is happening really soon and you need some clarification on some stuff, then I'd understand why you would ask me maybe directly on WhatsApp if you have my number. But otherwise, ask your questions in the comments so that a lot of people can get the answer. So you'll see on my screen, I've already set up a few things just to save me a bit of time. I want to focus on list methods. Now, I'm not sure where we left off in the last video. I know we're discussing a list, but I really want us to understand these list methods I want us to be really comfortable with the list. The list is probably the one data structure that you'll need to be the most comfortable with. You'll see that as you move forward, a list is the one that you probably need to be the most skilled at. So this is a comment. We've never ever spoken about comments. I don't know why. It probably should have been the first thing we spoke of. Comment is what you would write to yourself. It's what coders you'll see write to themselves. So they write, it won't be interpreted as code. It's not code. It's what I write so that when you read my code, you see what I'm doing here. It also could be messages for me so that I understand what's happening next in my code. So a comment here would be something like, a list I have created, something like that. And then there's the list I've created. So this won't be interpreted as code. It's basically nothing. It's just for me to read. When we've got big pieces of code, when you're building a game, when you're building an application, a backend, you'll see a lot of, particularly if you're working with a lot of people, they'll put comments on their part because maybe their code is different from yours and maybe their code is not as intuitive. They'll put comments. So so also you'll see people comment code out when they want to test something else that maybe this may get into the way of. So I'm going to comment this out. It's not going to run. Before we go into list methods, there is one thing I did want to explain. So sometimes I'll watch these videos and then I'll come back and see that something wasn't, maybe you could have misunderstood the way I explained something. So with string methods, one of the things I did want to mention with the string, oh, actually, I don't need to comment this out. I need this. I'll explain it here. You see, we've got a list here called my list. Remember, this list could be called anything. My list of stuff. I could call it my list of stuff. Remember, this is okay. I shouldn't name it like that. Okay, my list is fine. It's got a string, number, string, number, well, integer, and then this is the correct word for this is a float because it's got a decimal, right? If I want to grab something in my list, remember we spoke about indexing a list. So these are elements of a list. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 elements. If I want to get an element from the list, remember I told you that coding and computers and most programming languages, they start counting from 0 and not from 1. So this is index point 0, index point 1, index point 2, index point 3, index point 4. So if I want to grab my name, let's say, well, this is my name, the first one, this is 89, the second one, but this is not element 1, it's element 0. So again, I'm not sure if we did go over indexing. If I want this, my name, right, I would print. Remember, print means show me, and show the user my list at index point 0. So if I run this, I get my name. Then we spoke about slicing, right? So slicing is a way to get elements of a string. So it was it's used mostly for strings. If I want to get MAW, I would have to slice the 0, 1, 2, 3 if I want MAW. So you go up to, but not including where you want. If this thing is inside of a string, if this string is inside of a list, rather, then this is list properties. I can't slice it from outside of the list, right? So I would have to say name equals my list at 0, which is this. Then I can proceed to slicing it. let's say I want just the first three. So I'd say 0, and then I go up 2 plus 1. So I want 0, 1, 2. So I must say 3, right? And then let me print name. So I hope that makes sense. You would need to pull it out first of the list if you want to do stuff to it. So there I get MAW. Okay, cool. So that's the last thing on a string. I hope that makes sense. Now, so here's my list, right? It's got a whole lot of stuff in it. Let me rerun this to get rid of that MAW. Cool. So these are the important list methods that we're gonna have. There's probably not probably there are a whole lot more than this, but these are the most important ones. So I think we spoke about append. Append means to add some element to my list. So let's say we know we've got a list. In this case, we know we've got my list and it's got this stuff in it. Let's say I want to add the number 600 to the end. So my list.append. Append means throw something to the back of 600. I want to add, that's what I want to add. And then let's print. So let's keep this print statement here for all of these things. Now with these methods, you don't have to necessarily cram and know all of these methods. You just need to know that it's possible, and then you need to know how to Google search how to do it. So you need to know that there's a way to add something to a list. So if you're going to forget the word append or the word remove or the word insert, that's okay. It's not a train smash, but you need to know that it's possible for you to add things to a list, and then you'll Google search how to do that. So you need to get good at also with searching stuff, how to add stuff to the end of my list. So append is going to add 600 to the end of my list. If I print now my list, there's 600 got added to the end. Okay, that's what append does. So my list now has 600 at the end. If I were to append again, let's append again. My list dot append. Let's append 1000 now. Well, let's append a word. Let's append the word word. Okay, and then print it again. Print my list again. And that says comma y list, my list again. Now we're going to get the whole list with 600 because we added it, and then with word at the end, right? So there you see. Now the reason it's printing twice is because we've got two prints happening here. So the first time this thing runs, you've appended 600. The second time you've appended word. Okay, that is the append. The next thing is remove, right? So what remove is going to do is, or let's remove, and what I'm going to first always do is not add an argument. So with all these methods, you'll see that you've got a method and then open brackets. Open brackets may or may not require what's called an argument inside them. So you saw with append, it needed an argument. You need to append what you want to add, right? So let's see what happens with remove. Now, so remove, I'm going to say now print my list. So there's my list. I'm saying my list.remove. It's one of the list methods I want to remove. Let's print. Let's see what happens. So I get an error. It says list remove takes exactly one argument. 0 were given. 0 are given. That's the argument. That's the error message I'm getting. So I need to put in an argument. So it's the same as append, right? So just quickly, if I do say append and I don't put an argument and print my list, I'm going to get something similar. Append takes an argument. You didn't give me one. So you need to tell me what you want to append. And then in the case of remove, you need to tell me what you want to remove. So let's say I want to remove king. Now with remove, you don't have to remove the last element. You can... okay, so this is not what I want to happen. Just let's run this again. Because I'm not sure why king is staying there. Let's check. So I lied to you guys. Remove Python. So what it does to remove, removes the first matching element, which is passed as an argument. Okay, but I did do that. Let us just see. Okay. My list.remove king. print my list. So I'm not too sure. Oh, okay, so it did remove king. Sorry, guys. Sorry. So king shows up twice here. So there's king there and there's king there. And you saw it say that it removes the first matching element. So there's the first matching element of king. And so it removed it. So then let's then remove 89, right? So we should then, I'm sorry, you see, I'm underqualified to be teaching you guys these things. So my list remove 89. We should then, so let's print then my list again. My list, and then 89 should be gone. Yeah, 89 is gone. So it removes the first matching element of the list. That's what remove does. What's next? Insert. So again, the first thing I'll do is I'll just say insert, right? And then I won't put an argument. Let's see the error we get, and then let's try and intuitively. So again, now insert wants 2 arguments and quad 0. So what insert then wants is, I know it needs an index and what you want to put, right? So let's say new item, right? Now 1 is the index. Again, remember we spoke about indexes. So this is index 0, index 1, index 2, index 3, index 4, index 5, index 6. So if I say 0, I'm saying that at index point 0, put new item. So if we print this, we should get new item, and it's going to replace what was at index point 0. So let's check. So new item, so it doesn't actually replace, it puts itself there and shifts all the other elements to the right. So new item goes at index point 0, and then Mawande 89, 46, everything else moves up. So it doesn't replace. I'm wrong about replacing. It just puts itself there. That's insert pop. Pop will return to you the last element of a list. Now this becomes very, very important when we start to build applications. I think we did talk about pop in the previous video, but typically what you'll see people do with pop is they'll say maybe something like popped item, right? Something like this. Popped item equals mylist.pop, and pop doesn't take any arguments. So popped item is going to be king because pop takes off the last element and gives it to you. So for the mere fact that it gives it to you, I can then put it in popped item. Had I not saved this to a variable, okay, let me first not save it to a variable. Let me just say mylist.pop. If I run this, it gives you king, right? I didn't ask it to print anything. I didn't ask it to do, it just says king. So I don't want king to show up here. I want to store king somewhere, right? So let's say popped item equals mylist.pop. So I want this last item. And again, it might not make sense to you now, but when we move on and we start building games and stuff, you'll see why we need to take the last elements of the list and save it somewhere and use it for future reference. So if I run this, nothing happens because king is no longer there. It's in here now, right? But if I print popped item, we get king, right? So that's what's inside popped item was the last element of our list. And then the last one is clear. So mylist.clear, let's check what mylist.clear does. Let's first do this and then print it. So but intuitively you might see what this does. It clears the whole list, but let's make sure. Let's just make 100% sure. My underscore list. We should have an empty string, an empty list. So here we've got a list that's got nothing in it. If at all you want to clear the list. So in the next video, we're gonna look at dictionary methods, and then we can move on to logical operators, comparison operators, and if statements. So here's the next video, but we first just want to quickly run through this.